On a brisk Sunday morning in February 2008, a West Dublin nightclub was thrust into chaos when a violent altercation occurred. Wayne McNally, a notorious Irish criminal, had a deadly encounter with a bouncer, culminating in a shocking act as he shot the bouncer in the face. Chilling surveillance footage captured a young boy perilously close as McNally's rage erupted. This wasn't McNally's first brush with violence. Who is this perilous figure, and what has become of him? In today's video, we'll delve into his story. Welcome to the Pursuit of Perpetrators channel, where I unravel the veiled tales of cryptic crimes. David Gilsenan, stationed at the door of the Hush nightclub at the Red Cow Inn in Clondalkin, found himself embroiled in a tense situation involving Wayne McNally. The trouble began with an argument between McNally and another visitor. Sensing the potential for violence, Gilsenan stepped in to calm the situation. Initially, both McNally and the other individual walked away. However, McNally later returned, seeking entry to the club to speak with his girlfriend. With closing time approaching, Gilsenan refused him entry. Chaos erupted shortly after a sudden shout of, "Watch your back!" The air filled with a flash and the deafening sound of a gunshot. Gilsenan was struck, the bullet tearing through his face and leaving him gravely injured. McNally, then a mere 23 years old, made his escape in a stolen Audi, taken from outside the Square shopping centre in Tallaght. As dusk fell, two police officers on patrol in Dolphin's Barn spotted McNally heading towards the city centre. They ordered him to put his hands behind his back, but he resisted, sparking a frantic chase. McNally dashed through gardens, skillfully dodging clotheslines. In the chaos, one officer broke a bone in his hand after being struck by a line pulled down by McNally. The other officer eventually caught up, enduring a punch to the face before successfully apprehending McNally. Upon further investigation, it was revealed that McNally had been running towards the stolen Audi, where a Glock 9mm used in a nightclub shooting lay on the front seat. The subsequent year saw McNally standing trial at Dublin Criminal Court. His defence, a claim that his drink had been spiked, failed to elicit any sympathy from the judge, who sentenced him to 13 years in prison. While incarcerated for the nightclub incident, McNally accrued an additional 2 years for a van theft committed a month prior. By this time, the father of two had amassed over 60 convictions, including firearms offences, escape from custody, robbery, and multiple assaults. His troubled path began early and showed little sign of abating. Dropping out of school at just 8 years old, McNally's early life was turbulent, marked by stints in various institutions before he found himself in St. Patrick's and Mountjoy prisons. From his early teens, his life was further complicated by a severe heroin addiction. McNally first made headlines in 2003 with a daring carjacking outside an apartment block in Harold's Cross, where he shockingly slashed a woman's neck. As the Gardaí attempted to apprehend him, one of his passengers brandished a shotgun and fired at the pursuing officers. This passenger was none other than the notorious kingpin Brian "King Rat" Rattigan, for whom McNally served as an enforcer. Alongside McNally and Rattigan sat Wayne Zambra, one of Rattigan's youngest and most trusted gang members, who tragically met his end 3 years later. McNally's role as muscle for Brian Rattigan's mob highlights his deep entanglement in Dublin's criminal underworld. Rattigan had gained notoriety as a key player in the vicious Crumlin-Drimnagh feud of the early 2000s. This feud intensified following a significant Gardaí raid at the Holiday Inn on Pierce Street, which uncovered a drug operation and resulted in the arrest of 3 young men. McNally's early abandonment of formal education, coupled with his descent into addiction and crime, set the stage for a life entrenched in violence and lawlessness, underscoring the harsh realities of Dublin's gang conflicts. This pivotal event fractured the gang involved, dividing them into 2 rival factions. Brian Rattigan and his brother emerged as leaders of one group, while Fat Freddie Thompson took charge of the other. Thompson's faction later merged with other criminals from Crumlin, becoming the primary suppliers for the notorious Kinahan cartel, operating in Dublin's south inner city. Years later, McNally found himself caught in the crosshairs as a member of Rattigan's inner circle. Despite warnings from law enforcement, McNally faced a harrowing ordeal in 2007 when a lone gunman ambushed him at his girlfriend's doorstep. As McNally opened the front door, a barrage of bullets tore through him, striking his face, legs, arms, and shoulder. Miraculously, McNally survived the onslaught. By 2017, after serving his lengthy 13-year sentence, McNally's return to freedom was immediately fraught with danger. Just days after his release, he received a dire warning from the Gardaí about a plot to assassinate him, orchestrated by Daniel Kinahan's gang. McNally understood the lethal capabilities of the Kinahan cartel and realized they had the means to put a hefty bounty on his head. At that time, with Rattigan behind bars, McNally found himself in a precarious spot, Vulnerable to the violent power struggles of Dublin's criminal underworld, the heat intensified when the Kevin Street Gardaí launched Operation Respite, targeting Rattigan's drug empire in Dublin's south inner city. Despite operating within the heart of the Kinahan cartel's territory, Rattigan's associates extended their reach far beyond Dublin, deeply involved in drug trafficking in areas such as Cavan, Kildare and Limerick. Their main suppliers were none other than the notorious Keen Colopy gang. Gardaí feared that McNally would step up to run King Rat's crime empire upon his release from prison. However, McNally's post-release plans took an unexpected turn. Rather than taking the reins, he chose to leave Dublin, a decision that left Rattigan seething with anger. McNally's sudden departure put Rattigan in a difficult position, as McNally had been one of the few trusted lieutenants who kept operations running smoothly for Rattigan from behind bars. His absence created a glaring void that Rattigan struggled to fill. Adding insult to injury, when Rattigan was released from prison in 2021, he found himself without McNally, who was nowhere to be found just when loyal allies were needed most. This unexpected twist further complicated Rattigan's efforts to regain control of his fractured empire. The reason? In 2019, a UK court handed McNally not just one, but 2 life sentences, sealing his fate and shattering any hope of reuniting with Rattigan on the streets. The events leading to this outcome were as wild as they were chaotic. Just a year earlier, McNally had found himself on a booze and drug-fueled escapade that turned dangerously violent. On December 22, 2018, McNally was at the home of a woman where they indulged in drinks and cocaine while getting into the holiday spirit of wrapping Christmas presents. As the night wore on, another man joined the festivities, but what began as a festive gathering soon spiraled into a chilling altercation. The woman lashed out at McNally, stabbing him in the leg over a dispute about cocaine use. In a frantic act of self-defense, McNally retaliated, stabbing the woman with scissors. The attack left her with severe injuries, including a fractured cheekbone, eye socket, and multiple cuts and bruises to her face, shoulder, and abdomen. This violent incident, coupled with McNally's extensive criminal history, led to his life sentences, ensuring he would never return to the streets to reclaim his role in Rattigan's criminal empire. As the other man rushed to aid the injured woman, McNally turned on him as well. In a vicious attack, McNally stabbed the man in the legs and attempted further strikes at his stomach, missing by mere inches. His fists flew, leaving a gruesome scene with blood splattered across walls and ceilings. According to the judge presiding over the case, McNally's actions were reckless and excessive. He should have recognized that the man posed no ongoing threat, yet McNally continued his brutal assault. In the case of the woman, McNally's plea of self-defense was accepted, although the judge noted it went far beyond what was acceptable. The man's injuries were of the utmost gravity, including brain damage, internal bleeding to the brain, skull fractures, and stab wounds. The woman later claimed that McNally beat him to a pulp. Doctors reported that he suffered life-threatening injuries and was fortunate to survive. After the incident, McNally took and disposed of the scissors and his clothes in an attempt to eliminate any evidence. This desperate act to cover his tracks further underscored the severity of his crimes, leading to his 2 life sentences and ensuring he would remain behind bars, never to return to the streets or his former life of crime. Nevertheless, after the horrifying attacks, McNally was arrested at Manchester Airport while attempting to flee back to Ireland. During sentencing, the judge deemed McNally a significant danger to the public and handed down life sentences for each grievous bodily harm offence. McNally remained stoic and emotionless as the judge pronounced his fate, a minimum of 10 years to be served behind bars. Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. If you found my investigative analysis insightful, please be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the Pursuit of Perpetrators channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon too, so you'll get notified each time I release a new video. I appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, stay curious and keep seeking truth.